All right. Hey, how's everybody going today? Good? Give it a few more minutes before we jump on here. Before we start. Super excited about tonight. I got a really great guest on. Just giving it a few more minutes. Hey, Brenda. Hello, Sherry. I'm hanging in there. Thanks, Rain. Oh, Jay Michael's on there. All right. Gotta find out how to invite him on. Guess. Get him on a second here. It's the I don't know. My hand is crippled along with the rest of the body. Sometimes I don't have function, so I have to wrap it up so that the fingers will stay together. If that makes sense. All right. You there, Jay Michael?
Yes.
All right. We're going to give it a few more minutes here and we'll get you all set up on here. I'm so glad that I'm sorry, man. My head's a little off tonight, so I haven't had that much sleep. So we're gonna give it a few more minutes, and everybody's gonna jump on in a minute. So make sure I got plenty of guests for you. But I'm super excited to have you on.
Me too, buddy. I'm so thankful you asked me to come.
Yeah, I've been wanting you on for a while now. I mean, I watch your stories, which we'll get to. Um, uh, I watch your stories on TikTok, and they're good. I love all the historic stuff you bring up, the legends, the myths. I mean, you literally are the epitome of this show. It's awesome. And then me and you talked off screen, which I'll get into as well. And you got
Oh, yeah.
such a very wide history, which is amazing as well.
Oh, I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. So I love those kinds of stories. I love myths and legends and things that are creepy and scary. And I've experienced some for myself, and some of those are really scary.
Yeah, and then like Rain put in the comments, she goes, "You have the amazing stories," because I do know I see everybody else mentions that too. Like I've heard, other content creators, book reviewers that have read your books and then also loved your show because you do come up with some fascinating stories. I mean, it's definitely an honor to have you on.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it very much. It's an honor to be here. You guys are just top notch to me, and you're always so entertaining. The best part is you never know what's going to happen next. And that's the way I like to work too. It
Yeah,
helps me because half the time I don't know what's coming next either.
exactly. Thank you for the gifts. And then we'll go ahead and start a little bit early, about a minute. My name is Mike Manicki. I'm an author of thriller books, writing such as like that. I do fantasy as well, but I got about 9 or 10 books out there you can check out on Amazon. I'm also one of the co-hosts of Nightwriter Myths Legends. Kat's in the corner right now. She might take over for me in case I have to get up and move for a brief moment. So Kat might step in. She's got a little bit of a lingering cough. My wife is down, so you can hear her like on cue in the background. That's the reason why we're not sharing the screen right now. My guest tonight is a legend, Mr. J. Michael Vagott. I was warned by Clint that I gotta say your last name very
Yeah.
carefully.
Yeah.
So
The first podcast I went on, they said my name and it immediately got banned for hate speech.
I couldn't imagine that. It's like I'm stressing and putting a pause in between, right? So just to make sure.
Oh, I have a lot of trouble too. I mean, it's my name and I'm so used to saying it. And now I've gotten so used to just saying J. Michael, I don't even half the time I can't remember my name.
Got it. And then, if you don't mind me asking, what does the J stand for?
J is Joseph. There's been a Joseph in our generations as far back as we can find. My dad, my grandfather, my great grandfather, his father, forever. There's a Joseph. And my firstborn is a Joseph.
Okay, nice. All right. And then since we got a little bit of an audience going on here, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
All right, I'm J. Michael Vagott. We'll go with that. I write, I say paranormal vampire romance, but I write a little bit of everything. And the paranormal vampire romance, it's not exclusively that. There's a lot of action and a lot of humor, and the books are clean. There's a lot of gore and a lot of violence. No language and no sex in them at all. Because my mom would have killed me if I've done that, and I stayed true to what she wanted. And if you like those kinds of things, guys, just check them out. They're a lot of fun. I've been doing this. My mom's the one that got me started. She used to write poetry and stories, and actually won a few awards. And I just had a bug to do it, and I always wanted to write fiction. And the Blood Feud series came from my background, my ancestry. My dad's side of the family came from Budapest, Hungary, and that's where I came up with the vampires. My mom's family was born and raised in the hills of West Virginia, and they're related to the Hatfields and McCoys of the Hatfield-McCoy feud, which are characters in the Blood Feud series, and that's how they came to be.
That's very interesting for a couple of things there you mentioned. I want to backtrack on really quick. So a lot of people have heard of the Hatfield McCoys. We might have you touch base on it a little bit because we do have some from a lot of our guests are from Canada on here as well. So you may not
Sure.
be familiar on it. I do like how it just came across, you're like, I write very clean vampire romance, but there's a lot of gore. It's
I had to have something to go with, man.
So, Rain also put down that your stories are very very scary. So that's a really cool thing, but in a good way. She does point that out, which I find fascinating. The vampire thing I like to touch on just real quick.
Sure.
So for one reason or couple reasons. One, when I started following you, I saw these posts where you're all dressed up.
Oh yeah.
You
That
did book,
that vampire.
yeah. Tell
Yeah,
us about
that
it.
got started by accident. I went to a book signing at Halloween, and it was dress up. And it was a book. It was a bookstore, and so I went as a vampire character from my book. They went crazy over it, and she says, "I want you here this month, but you have to dress that way." And now everybody expects me to be the vampire, which is great, except those teeth, I have to put them in with denture glue. And it's hard to talk, and you can't eat or drink. And I had them on for like 9 hours, and it was brutal. But what we do for our books, I guess.
Well, that's just it. So, like, I'm glad you said that because there's a lot of authors that are in the comments, obviously. And one of the things that everybody's always saying is that when they go to the marketing, they go to the booths and they put up their books. And I did like a video on Patreon about it. And then they sit there and they expect the books to, not saying the people in our group, but I have seen that on there, right? That they just sit there and it happens. You
Yeah,
got to have some kind of hook to
right.
draw someone to it. And I saw the photo of you. You looked impressive, man. Dressed up as a vampire. Like that would draw anybody to the table. So
I
very,
appreciate that.
yeah,
Yeah,
kudos to
well,
you.
when I was younger, I was fascinated by monster movies, the old classic Frankenstein, the werewolf, and all those. So I figured out how to do the makeup. So I bought all this makeup, and I actually we had a Halloween party in the basement of our church, and I did a werewolf makeup, and I piece by piece glued on. I had to take it off 5 minutes after I got there because no children would come downstairs. They were so terrified of me, they wouldn't come near me. But I to this day, I still love playing with makeup. I actually made up one of I teach martial arts, and one of my students wanted to play a prank on their mother. And so I did a big facial scar with a pump that would pump blood out of it. He could hide. And she thought that he'd been cut with a sword, and she was ready to have the police come get me. And we were told we couldn't do that anymore.
That is awesome. No, I mean, me and Kat plays. She does cosplay a lot of times, and then I dress up every once in a while when we go trick or treating because she's only like 4 foot something, so it's easy to pass her off as a pet, right? And there was one time I had dressed up so terrifying that like all everybody would literally just go to the other side of the street, and we had all the houses to ourselves to go get candy. You know what I mean? So it was awesome.
Yeah.
But you mentioned a couple things there, which I gotta make a mental note of. I don't have, can't really write too much. I want to back up just real quick on vampires here because, you know, everybody's always fascinated with vampires. You see it in a lot of books, TVs. I'm with you. I'm about the same age as you, where we went back. We grew up with the old Frankenstein, Bela Lugosi, and all those guys. You
Yes.
know, how much extensive research? Because I know you wrote the books with vampirism. Did you already just know it from the movies, or did you do extensive research on the lore of vampires?
Well, I knew it from the movies because, of course, Dracula was one of my favorites because Bela Lugosi came from Hungary, so he was one of my favorites. But I knew a lot. But when got into writing the books, I wanted to change it a little bit. So I went back in and I researched everything I could find on it. Spent hours and hours and hours, and I came up with different ways that they change, different ways to kill them, things that didn't work. They could actually come out in sunlight. One of the things that I came up with was, they used to put bury suspected vampires, and they would put hooked swords across their throats so they couldn't escape from the grave, or bury them upside down. So, because would dig in the direction they were at, so they would dig down instead of up, so they couldn't come out. All these different stories, and they always used iron because they said the iron vampires didn't like it. Well, iron powder is used in oxygen absorbers. So I came up with the idea of making oxygen powder as a weapon to shoot it into the vampires. And when it exploded, not only did the iron affect them, but it also absorbed their oxygen and killed them from inside. It dried up their blood.
That's impressive. That I did hear a couple of those, like the ones where like you buried them face down, or the swords, so that if
Yes.
they rose, it would decapitate. Which begs the question: why not just decapitate them and then bury them if that's the case?
Yeah.
But I did see that they bury them face down. That's very impressive. I didn't know the last one though with the iron.
Yeah. Yeah. And they used to put bricks in their mouth, so even if they did escape, they were jammed in their jaws. So they thought, well, they couldn't bite anyone because they had a brick in their mouth. I came up with all kinds of. There were different plants they would plant on the grave that would keep them there. Hawthorn and different types of plants and herbs and flowers, nightshade that would keep them down.
Yeah, I've heard that because I used to do a lot of different. I was in alternative medicine for many years, and I did read, even in whenever I had a brief spout of looking into like the whole Wiccan religion and stuff. There was a lot of the medicinal plants that were used to not only keep spirits away, but to actually go after vampires and other witches, which was interesting. Which begs the question, really quick, out from the past to right now. What would be your favorite vampire movie?
Oh wow! Then there's so many of them. Uh, Gosh, I guess of course the original Dracula will always be near and dear to me, but I'm trying to remember Bram Stoker's Dracula that came out. I love that one. That was
Yeah,
really awesome. And now there was one called Voyage of the Demeter.
I remember that.
And that was really good. I haven't seen the newest one, and there's a new one coming out that I've seen some video clips that looks really, really good. And I think it comes out this year, maybe this month even. But I've seen some trailers for it, and it's really good.
Okay. My favorite one out of all the like I do admit Bram Stoker was like the first time they came out where the shadow would separate from the character, which was mind-boggling at the time, right? I still feel like me personally, I'm a big Lost Boys fan.
Oh yeah,
Because
that was fantastic.
yeah, it's the 80s. Kat, I'm gonna let Kat yell hers out because she watches this stupid movie like every single night. Like, what's your favorite?
Sinners.
Yeah, go ahead, say it.
It's Sinners.
She says, in case I wanted her to say it, she's a little bit further away, she's coughing, but Hers is the newest one. Sinners. Sinners was
Both my sisters watched it and loved it. I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna have to check it out.
oh, it's awesome.
Jack O'Connor.
There's a guy. She's got a crush on Jack O'Connell now. And,
Oh yeah.
yeah, he would only do the show. He only did the show because he wanted to sing Rocky Road to Dublin, which was awesome. Yeah, and then speaking of singing, that takes a leadway. Bear
Segway.
Thank you. Yeah, gotcha. Everybody's been used to the show now, so it's the way it goes.
Well, it's like me interviewing me. That's how I feel.
It segues into the next question. As you know, I never script anything, so I just go with the flow. But
Yes.
speaking of like singing and stuff,
Yes.
when me and Kat went up on our road trip, I had reached out to you because you live in Tennessee, and we
Yes.
got to talk a little bit. And you mentioned that you used to work with Dolly Parton. Tell us a little
Yes.
bit about that if you can, or you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. I worked at Dollywood for over 30 years. I was in entertainment there. I actually did just about every job on the park, but I ended up being Dolly Parton's driver and bodyguard for a while, for a few years. And that was a hoot. I actually did some couple of her Christmas movies. And I was also, because of working at Dollywood, I was noticed by a film crew that were filming a new TV series, and I was in an episode of that. It was the worst TV series ever put on TV, and it lasted 7 episodes, and you can't even find it. It was so bad they tried to bury it. It was called Outsiders In, and the stars were Bobby Brown, who was married to Whitney Houston, and Maureen McCormick, who was Marsha Brady on the Brady Bunch, and also Carney Wilson from Wilson Phillips, the Brian Phillips from the Beach Boys. It was his daughter. They were the stars of it, and the premise of the story was they bought this inn, and they were trying to run it. And the episode I was on, I was playing this hillbilly character, and I played this character at Dollywood. That's how I got the part. But I was throwing knives and everything in the show, and singing, and did some magic, a little bit of everything, and it was terrible. But it did. I was hoping after I saw the first episode, I said, "Lord, please let them cut me out of this." But they didn't. I was in episode 2, and thank goodness they didn't ask me to do it again.
So, but that is really cool, though. You know that because when I lived in Maui, I used to do different type of security, private contracting, and stuff myself. But we would meet celebrities all the time out there and stuff like that. But when you were telling me about that, I'm a big fan of Dolly. I grew up watching her. Her and
Yes.
Kenny Rogers, and Kenny Rogers used to come to Maui all the time. So that you got such a beautiful past resume, man. Like it's very impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then
And it's all accidental. Everything I've done is by accident. And let me tell you my best Dolly Parton story.
sure.
And there's a lot of them. I could make up the whole show with just her. But the very first time I was going to drive her, they do what's called park parades at Dollywood. Now, we'd drive her around in an antique car called a DeWitt. And I had never met her, never spoke to her. She'd never seen me, didn't know who I was. And they told me what to do. They said, well, when she's ready to go, you drive up and she'll be outside the gates. There's gates that you open, and we drive into the park, drive from one end of the park to the other, come out the other gates on the other side. I drive around in a circle, bring her back to her bus. So I was out there waiting for her, and I was nervous because I'm like, I hope I don't, dump her out in the middle of the street or something like that, because it's an open car. And there's thousands, there's like 30,000 people inside there waiting for us to come in. And she's getting ready to come out, but her manager comes out before she does. And he says, listen, I need to tell you something. When we bring Dolly out, do not talk to her unless she talks to you first. He said, now it's not because she's snobbish or anything. They have about 10 people walking around the car beside her, a lot of security and stuff too. And they're telling her what to do. Like if there's a news broadcast on her right, they say, hey, Channel 10 News is over on the right, turn and wave, or so-and-so's on the left, turn and wave. And I said, no problem. I said, I probably wouldn't turn around talking anyway. I'm nervous. I don't want to do something stupid. So they brought her out. I helped her in the car. She said hi, and I said hi, and that was it. She sat down, and I'm sitting there waiting for them to open the gates, and she starts talking. I thought she was talking to everybody else, but she was talking to me. I was ignoring her. I was just sitting there. All of a sudden, she reached up and slapped me in the back of the head. She said, "Boy, I'm talking to you." And I turned around and said, well, I guess I should talk back, shouldn't I? She said, yeah, they told you not to talk to me, didn't they? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, I'm paying you. You do what I tell you. She was just a sweetheart. She's really, really super.
That's so cool story, man. Yeah, it's she's just such a talented person. And then you mentioned also a couple times, we were talking a little bit. You were also you became part with her, obviously her chauffeur and stuff. But you said you also were a bodyguard with her, and you do martial arts. Tell us a little bit about
Yes.
your background on that.
Oh, martial arts. I started martial arts when I was 5 years old. My uncle learned while he was in the military, and I fell in love with it. Of course, Bruce Lee. When I saw Bruce Lee, I was hooked. So I trained in everything I could find. Coming from a small area in West Virginia, there would be an instructor move in. He would train for a while, and then he would disappear. You'd have to go find somebody else, and most always it was a different style. So I've studied so many different styles. I have black belts in Okinawan Shorin-ryu and Korean Taekwondo. Another system called Kyokuto Gakkai Jiu-Jitsu. I've trained in Shaolin Kung Fu, Judo, some Jiu-Jitsu, and Aikido. And I come up with a system, and it's called Shorin Taijutsu, that's recognized by the IKSA. And that's what I still train and teach some today.
That is awesome. Yeah, my I come from a very strong military family. They're all Army strong, but my dad was a Kimpo instructor underneath Ed Parker. You know, the great
Oh,
Ed Parker
yes.
put on the tournament. So he was a student underneath Ed Parker, and then obviously I had to learn as a child as well. And then as I got older, I branched out into, when I moved to Maui, a lot of Filipino martial arts out there. So we did a lot of the Eskrima, Padoy School of Eskrima,
Yes.
and then
Oh, yes. I did that as well. I loved
yeah,
it.
I love because you can adapt a screamo to almost anything. So I used to do, and then went from that to Sayet Kali, to regular boxing, and then also into firearms and stuff like that, marksman and stuff like that. So yeah, a little bit of the backgrounds like that. So I'm glad to see whenever I talk to you that time when we're driving up. When you're on camera, usually you're promoting your book, but you are so well rounded, which impressed me so much. That's the reason why I was glad to get you on the show. Which kind of segues into the next one. Besides, all this other stuff that you've got underneath your belt, you took on the writing journey, and you had mentioned this before, but my memory's not good. Tell us a little bit, just a little bit about how you got into the writing and where you might, some of your books now, and where you might see yourself going after the books you got out right now.
Yes. Yes. Well, I came up with the story of Blood Feud back in 1982. And I started writing it on an old Royal typewriter. At that time, I was working in a security job at night, and I had a lot of free time. I was in an area where nothing happened. I made around once an hour, and I had all this time. And so I got in there and I started typing it up, and I got probably several chapters in, and I put it aside. And I thought, well, I don't know, maybe one day I'll do something with it. And of course, life gets in the way, and I got really busy and started family and all of that kind of stuff. But then uh, in 2020, I decided to go back to it, and I basically restarted the whole thing. I took some of what I'd written, and then I did the rest. And well, it was originally going to be just one story. It was originally going to be titled "The Blood Feud Diaries," and that was all it was going to be. But as the story progressed, the first book, it became obvious to me that I'm not going to get it all in one book, and so it became a trilogy. And now I've had people that I'm getting ready to put out. Book three would have been out, but of course, most people know my mom passed away in October. And that kind of put a halt. And from June till that time, I was going back and forth to Florida, and I really wasn't writing much at all. So it really stopped me in my tracks. So, but I will either have it out at the beginning or middle of February. It will be ready to go. And so after that, I've got 6 books in works that I am going to publish 6 books this year if everything goes well. Uh, got some of them already outlined and started. I don't have a real outline. I get an idea and I start writing and the story just develops. For me, it's like when I start writing, it's like a movie playing in my head. And I just write what's playing up there. Sometimes that's really scary because I never know what's going to come out of this brain. And sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I've said that before. That's the way I do it. Like, I think because like me and you, we've seen so many movies, I've read so many books, but like whenever I go down, I don't have like, I don't like do anything like notes aside. I don't have like a real, um, idea. I just sit down and then I close my eyes and I let the movie take place. And then all of a sudden,
Yes.
I end up with like a story and it changes like 100 times, right? And like if the bad thing I hate is because my life is so hectic that once you got the flow going and the movie's going, you don't want to get up and leave because when you come back, it changes. So you know that
Yes,
feeling.
absolutely.
Yeah, and
It's
I
just
end up
like going to the movies. You don't want to go to the bathroom because you miss the best part.
exactly.
Yeah, I know that sounds crazy, but that's the way it works.
It so does, man. Because like that's I would always want to get there, and everybody was always getting like you get your soda, you get your popcorn, and then you watch like 20 minutes of trailers, and then right as soon as the good part happens, you got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, yeah. I, I probably have bladder problems today because I wouldn't go because I was not going to leave that movie. But I just saw some of the comments. Some people said they're looking forward to by Jack the Ripper story, which is it's tied into Jack the Ripper, but it's called The Child Catcher. That's going to be one of the books for this year. And he takes place in the same time period as Jack the Ripper, and their paths cross. And
That's
I got
cool.
the idea because the child catchers were a real thing in England back in the same time, but it wasn't in a scary sort of way. They would take them from their homes and they would sell them to places to work for them. But I'm going to make it a lot darker than that. This will be darker than what I've written so far.
Like that wasn't dark enough already.
Oh well, it's true. I guess.
Sure, they just take the kids out of their homes, put them in a
But it'll be
safe
clean.
place.
But it'll be
Yeah.
clean. And
If it got darker than that, man, I don't know what the hell to expect on that last plot twist,
oh,
man.
you ain't seen nothing yet, my friend.
But Jack the Ripper was always a popular piece in stories. You see a lot of retelling and
Yes.
stuff like that. So the myth, going back to the same thing with like vampires, it's that it's the allure. Even though it might be terrifying and horrifying when you think about acts committed or whatever, but it's the allure. Like Vlad the Impaler used to literally drink the blood of his victims and stuff like that.
Yes.
And, yeah, Jack the Ripper used to do it. Sit down and he'd have a table and they would just be slowly on a spike and he would just drink and eat in front of them. And
Yeah.
but like fascinations with the vampire, who doesn't want to live forever, type of thing. And then Jack the Ripper, who really was he? And then we know there's
Hmm.
always the different myths and legends, and then you add a little bit of Sherlock Holmes into it. So these are things that draw us into these books. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that on the show because I still have yet to read your books because I'm on all these TBRs, but I've been wanting to read your books for a very long time since I started following you because we are very similar. And
Yes.
I've heard so many reviews about your books, but I've also had like people even in that's not even the audience. I've had people come up to me like, "Hey, do you know J. Michael? And have you read his books?" And I'm like, "Yes, I know him. I'm getting there." And that's the reason why I want to get you on here. But 6 books in a year, that's a pretty hefty goal. How do you usually
Yes.
set your standards? Like, do you have like a day set on how many pages you want done, or like clean pages, or what?
And I just sit down and I know how many words I need to get a day to hit those goals. Now, some of these books won't be 300 pages long. They'll be shorter books. One is going to be an inspirational book that my mom wanted me to do, and it's already written because it's a collection of poems and stories and songs and things like that that I wrote throughout the years. And she always wanted me to put them in a book, so I promised that I would get that done this year. Another one is called Bad Bones, and it's about a serial killer that this detective is chasing. And they get into a car chase, and there's a horrific crash, and the serial killer is killed in the crash. But the detective survives, but he's hurt very badly. And they take him to surgery, and he has to have some vertebrae and things replaced because he's destroyed his spine and everything, his back. But after the surgery and he gets out, he starts having these weird dreams and things start happening. And what has happened is that he ended up with the bones of the serial killer
Oh
placed in
wow,
him. So that's where that story's going to go.
that's a good way to go with a story, man. That's actually really clever. That's pretty exciting. And then you said you know the word counts and stuff like that too. So you got a good shot at making the 6 books. I like the idea that you're keeping the books smaller. My always thing was is that on thrillers, when you deal with like fantasies, fantasy should be like a very large, thick volume book because you're building
Yes.
like this massive world. But to keep someone on the edge of their seat, you don't want that a lot of background noise. You want to get right, keep them so that they're not going to put that book down. So
Right.
that's a
Right.
cool thing. Do you
Yeah.
have any? Now, I personally don't have any desire to be traditionally published. I like the fact that I like to keep my own control 100%.
Right.
Whether I become, rich and famous, whether that's just not whatnot. Do you have any dreams still yet at becoming traditional published, or are you really enjoying the indie author ride?
No, I didn't get into it to be famous. That's not something. I mean, I've been around all that stuff all my life. I've been in some movies. I was almost the weapons director for the Last of the Mohicans movie. Uh, I was interviewed for it and everything else. But that stuff doesn't impress me. Not that I love people to be successful. I write because I love to write. I love to be able to make something up in my mind that people actually want to hear. And my reward is to have someone say, "Hey, you really made me feel good. You really gave me a good feeling with that book you wrote." And that's all I need. I'm not worried about anything else.
That's what I like. That's the same thing with me. When someone like does like they talk about the book and it's genuine and they really love it. Like a lot of the people in the audience, they half these people down here are extremely talented themselves, but when you start getting
Yes.
a kind of like that feedback from them, you're at a higher level, and that makes it all worthwhile. You know what I mean? By far. And then
Yes.
so would you see yourself? Because I know like people would say a lot of times like some of my books should be in a movie. Would you be open if someone approached you to like turn one of your books into a movie? Because from what I've
Sure.
heard
Yeah.
about them, they're good enough that they would be brilliant on screen. From what I've heard.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people tell me that. And yeah, I have a possibility of that happening. I've sent some books to a producer that asked about them. So it may, and the way they do those things, I mean, they may ask for it now, and it may be 4 or 5 years down the road, and then they say, "Yeah, well, it's a go." It's something that you just wait for, and if it comes, it comes. Uh, I've already had the honor of somebody wanting to check them out. That's I came from a poor background. I'm a country boy from West Virginia, and for all this amazing stuff that has already happened to me, what more could I ask for? Everything's a bonus. I just
Yeah.
love life and love people, and I love to make people happy. That's my goal.
Yeah, so like I'm like you. We came to the point where like when I was growing up, we had to skip meals for days, right? So it was one of those things. And then I had a pretty, which I won't go too far in, but my past was not pleasant. But the as I got older, I learned to appreciate things more. You know what I mean? And if I can give a little bit of that love back, spread love to those that need it, then that's what I'm here for. You know, what I mean, I enjoy that a lot. I do got a couple of quick questions. One thing that's been bothering me, it just came to my head, and when I watch your videos, there's a
Hmm.
background with all the books, and then it's got the black
Yes.
screen on the back. Is that real, or is that like a screen
No,
text?
I have people ask me, "Hey, what's the oldest book in your collection?" If I was on screen, I could show you. This is a tapestry behind me. I got it on Temu for like $12. They got all kinds of cool ones, man. I'm going to get a new one for this year. I'm going to get a new one for this year. It came from Temu, guys. But thank you. I'm
I
a
was,
low budget author.
I was, I wasn't expecting that, man. Because
Yep. Well,
it looks cool.
if you look at one of the first video I did with the vampire makeup on, I
Yeah,
said this is what you get when you order your Dracula from Timu. So, yeah, my wife, I had to get a second job, and I'm retired. I had to get a second job to cover her Timu expenses.
oh yeah.
And yeah, that's a
I
lot
had
of
the
stuff
same
because it's
problem.
not. Oh man.
Every time I come home, I got that Timo on my front store for between my wife and my daughter.
Mm,
I'm just like, I
yeah,
can't make money fast enough. That Timo,
I know
and,
it.
and what kills me is the reasoning is that, well, honey, it's only like $3 on Timo, but you ordered 200 things.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
still six
Oh
hundred
yeah,
bucks.
yeah. Well, I've got an even worse problem than that. My wife loves thrift stores, and she
Yeah,
goes to these thrift stores, and she'll spend $200 or $300. She'll bring it to the house, keep it for 2 months, then go and give it back to him. I
that's
was like,
cat.
why don't you just drive up there once, give him $200, and come home? It'll save us a trip and some money.
Cat does that all the time. She breaks out the clothes, and then she'll go back to the thrift store. I'm thinking, you know what? Just out of I'm sure this probably doesn't happen, but can you imagine that they donate the clothes and then they go back in, and then all of a sudden they say, "Hey, this looks really nice," and then they buy it, and it turns out it's theirs. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
the
sure.
irony in that it's got to be happening somewhere. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the other thing was is that when we were coming up there, we were supposed to do a full trip and go up to like Pigeon Forge area, which is everybody
Yes.
talks about up in that area says it's gorgeous. Um, I'm drawing a blank. I mean, I know the place very well, but what's it called up there again besides Pigeon Forge?
You got Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, Gatlinburg.
Gatlinburg. So
Yes.
Gatlinburg, Tennessee. That's where we were going to go, and I wasn't feeling well, so we had to go back. But we wanted to go
Right.
see the Appalachian Mountains because the Appalachian,
Yes.
I know we're in Tennessee, and
Yes.
Appalachian Mountains, from what Kat says, is the only landmass that's never been changed since the dinosaur. But you got a
Hmm.
lot of scary legends up there. You
Oh,
got a good,
yes.
you got a
Yes.
good story for us? I'm sure you do.
Oh, my goodness. There are so many. Um, well, here's one that was another place. I used to live before they had really bad fires in Gatlinburg in 20, I think it's 2015. And the place I was living in, my wife that I was married to at that time had passed right before the fires, 2 weeks before the fires. So I had gone to my sister's just to get away for a while. And 2 weeks after I left, these fires burned everything up. But it's called Roaring Fork Motor Nature Trail. You can drive around in your car. There's all kinds of old cabins and waterfalls, wildlife. I could walk up into that area from where I lived. It was beautiful. But there were all kinds of things up there. People saw shadows. There was a cabin about half a mile towards the end of it, and that's the area that I lived at. And I would walk up into that area because I was real close to the cabins there. And I would go up there in the evenings and walk, and I could hear footsteps, I could see shadows, but there were people. There was this one young boy they were playing, and I can't remember his name. It's just you can look it up about his disappearance in the woods. It was I think back in the '60s, and they were playing hide and seek, and they all the children came out, and they got to looking for him, and they couldn't find him. They had everybody. They called the wildlife people, and they came and looked, and they never found him. But someone said that they had seen what looked to them like a Bigfoot in that same area, and they heard sounded like a young woman or a young boy screaming. Uh, but yeah, that area is full of ghosts, and there's people that go up there and do ghost hunts in those old cabins, and they see things move, things hit the side of the walls, and fly across the room. It's a spooky, spooky place.
Yeah, there's places that you don't want to go up there. I know, like, I did see some ghost hunts up there, and you gotta be really crazy to do so, because there's actual people that live up there that will like literally eat another
Yeah.
person. And
Oh yeah, they're called the feral people. Uh,
exactly.
yeah, and they're there. And there's other things there's more modern things like and moonshiners and other things that you can run into that you don't want to run into up there. You
Exactly.
got to
I know
know
what you're
where
talking
to walk and where not to walk. But
about.
that's the Appalachian Trail goes through there, and there's all kinds of horror stories about the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, I had a couple of friends. These guys were ex-military. They're definitely not shy people. And they went, I think I told it on the last live, but they went up there and they were traveling through, and they camped out one night, and then it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and they just heard everything that you could possibly hear. It was scary as hell. And because the way the mountain range is, you couldn't pinpoint the direction. So they just immediately picked up and left, and got the hell out of there. Me and Kat went up there to a place, and we had some experiences as well. But one of the things I've been meaning to ask, because Kat, when we were driving up there, Kat's all like, "Hey, Dad, I want to go to the Appalachians and I want to whistle at night." And I'm all like, "Well, why?"
No,
And she's all like, "Cause I heard it summons demon." And I'm all like, "What the hell's wrong with you? Like, no, we're not doing that. Like, what the hell?"
no,
But have you ever
no.
whistled that night?
No, 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 no. You don't do that. No,
So that's a real
no.
thing,
I'm
then,
not
right?
afraid of a whole lot, but no, no, don't do that. But
There's
now,
no.
see, I know what she's going to do. She's going to take you with her. She's going to whistle and leave you. That's what she's going to do.
She said correct. She said
I
correct.
heard her.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's I just the stupid. I listen to her on some things, and the other times I'm just like, what the hell's wrong with you people? And it's like what like you. I'm not too worried about too many things, but there's some things like, hey, let's not poke the bear. You know
yeah,
what I mean? That's just
yeah.
self-preservation at some point.
Oh, yeah. Now, I tell you what, I've got a spooky story for you
Nail hit
that
it.
I've
Go ahead.
never told. I've only told my wife and a couple of my family members. No one here has ever heard this story. No one else. This, I just don't talk about this one because it happened to me. I do magic. And I was working for a company, and they were expanding a magic stores in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge area. So they rented this place in Pigeon Forge to put a magic shop in. It's an old building, and I lived close by there, and I noticed business would go in, they would come out, they wouldn't last long. I thought, well, maybe the traffic is not very good. So we opened it up, and everything was fine for about a month. And I was there one evening, and it was rainy and nasty, and no customers had been in for an hour or so. And I started hearing things bumping in the back room, and I had this curtain up where we kept stock, and I could see movement. And I thought, what in the world? I thought a cat or something had gotten in because there's a back door, and I thought maybe I'd left the back door open. I pulled that curtain back, there was nothing there. And I came back up to the front, and I was working on some tricks and stuff and straights and things. And I heard a laugh. And then something grabbed me on my leg. And I freaked out. And I jumped back, and I heard another laugh. And I opened the door, locked the door, and I left. And I stayed gone for about 30 or 40 minutes. And I said, no, I'm not going to let it get the better of me. And I went back. And it bothered me for another hour or so. And I just refused to leave. But it would touch me. It would talk. It would say things. It terrified me. It went on for about a month, and then it just stopped. and it never happened again. I don't know what happened. There's to this day nothing else has gone into that spot.
Huh. That's a cool story, man. Like I said, I've had a couple of the things, but so like when you have these experiences, like I appreciate you sharing that on my show. Like you said, you haven't really told it to anybody, so I do appreciate that. But obviously, so when you're writing your books, do you draw any inspiration from what you personally experienced from these type of
Oh,
things?
yes, absolutely, absolutely. Because I'm fascinated with that kind of stuff. I used to do ghost tours in my hometown in Matewan,
Oh,
because it's a very haunted place. It's a historical town and had a lot of things happening on our ghost walks, and it was crazy. But yeah, I've drawn from all that stuff and from personal experience, and I use that a lot. A lot of the things that in my fiction books are all not. It's all not fiction, but you have to figure out which is not the fiction and which is.
yeah, that's cool. But we see that in like a lot, even down here in Florida, you have,
Oh yeah.
ghost tours and stuff like that. How did you like doing that? That always like I never been to one, but I always heard that they were fun as heck.
Oh, I loved it. I did a combination history ghost walk. The reason it worked out so well is because there's a lot of death there. First of all, they had Phil McCoy feud. A lot of shootings and killings there, but there was a shootout in that town between miners that were trying to join the Union and the Baldwin Felts Detective Agency. Shootout happened in the middle of the day, right behind where the railroad tracks were at. The Baldwin Felts agents were getting ready to get on the train, and they confronted. They were going to have the sheriff arrested, and there was a dispute, and a gunfight broke out. 13 people were shot, several died, and there's still bullet holes in the buildings. But you can hear one boy was shot and killed, and we heard a boy crying. And I had an instrument that talked, that we would ask questions and it would answer. And we were at this one spot where the bullet holes were at, and I started asking questions, and it said, uh, on the roof watching, and there was a balcony up there. There was like an old apartment up there that had been there for 100 years, and it kept saying these different words. And someone that was in the group says, "I need to get out of here." She said, "We used to live there, and what they're telling you is stuff about me, and I can't take this." And she left. And I said, "Do you want us to leave?" And immediately it said, "Leave now." And then another building was walking up was an old hospital where there was a lot of death. And this guy didn't believe in it. He came with his family because they wanted to, and he was, saying, "No, I don't believe in this junk." And he just pulled his camera up to take a picture. I had turned off that talking thing, and it came on in my pocket and said on the steps, right when he snapped the picture, and there was a figure on those steps in his photograph, and there was no one there. We were all looking at the building. It's empty. It's not occupied. And then we saw a blue glowing light in an unoccupied building. It had no electricity or anything in it. And there was a blue glowing light moving around in that one, and there was no one in there. So all kinds of weird stuff happened.
That's just creepy as hell, man.
Yeah.
Would you be open? Because I bring this up quite a bit when I talk to authors like us and that have had ghost experiences or stuff like that in the past. Would you be open to like? I was just thinking like we all got together one time if it could be funded somehow, and we all just like either stayed in a haunted place together for 24 hours, can't leave, and just explore and play. And then
I'd love it.
record it obviously for live or whatever purposes and stuff like that.
Oh, I would love it. Yeah, we could get that set up, I'm sure. There's all kinds of sanitariums and prisons that you can do those things. Um, I'm sure we could set that up. I'd love to do it. I'm in. Maybe even
That's
some
what's
of the folks on here would like to go with us.
well. That's what I was talking to Shay and a couple of the other ones, and they were talking. She was saying because she was there, but I would think that she's in Indiana. But if I was going to do something, I would want like the more like you said, the
Yeah,
sanitarium, Waverly.
yeah.
But
Maybe we could
Tennessee's
find a
loaded.
central location close to the middle of all of us where we could all
Yeah,
meet.
yeah. I tell you, so because a lot of people don't understand that when you're in a large building, let's say, because I've actually had to either work or I've explored by myself large places that were abandoned.
Oh
Like I
yeah.
used to explore a lot of abandoned places that were, and when you're in these and no one else is around, you all, I mean, some of it could be real, some of it could be just your mind playing tricks with you.
Hmm.
But that eeriness when you're in there by yourself, it does mess with your mind something fierce. I don't think most people
Absolutely.
could actually handle it unless you were a little bit off, like maybe like me and you. But otherwise, most people
Yeah.
couldn't handle that
Yeah.
that type
Well,
of
now
environment.
I was the safety and security coordinator for General Motors in Martinsburg, West Virginia, and their plant was almost a mile square inside. It was their second largest parts plant in the world. And anything, if there was an alarm set off, I had to go no matter what time. I would be there in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, nobody else there. And I'd have to walk through, and I didn't touch the lights because it was all censored. As you walked into the area, they would come on and go off. And I was walking down, and I heard this horrible crash on the other side of the building, about 4 aisles over in the parts. I thought something had fallen off. I ran over there. There was nothing there. And then I heard sound like footsteps running 2 more aisles over, and I went nobody there. And then upstairs, a phone started ringing. I went all over that place. There was no offices up there. It was just parts. I couldn't find a phone. I couldn't find anybody. And I had people tell me, "Oh yeah, that happens all the time." There's been several deaths in that building, workers and things that were uh, hurt really badly and passed in the building. And a lot of weird stuff happened in there. And I had to go there quite a bit at night. And we weren't allowed to carry a gun on that property. So I carried a big stick and good running shoes. But I never ran from anything in there, but I sure did walk fast at times whenever the hair stood up on the back of my neck. It would have on my head, but I don't have any. But I would get quite a bit startled in those places.
Yeah, that like it happened. Like I was working security at the Kanapoy Royal, and it was like a bunch of
Uh-huh.
condos and stuff. And it was in Hawaii. You're not allowed to be armed. You can't,
Right.
exercise any rights and stuff. So you're not allowed to be an armed security guard. And usually when I'm in those environments, even though I can usually handle myself pretty well, I like to be armed. And we were in there, and so what I had, because like the experience, the background in Eskrima, you can take a mag light, one of the long mag lights. You take the end
Yes.
that has the light part, and you cup it within your hand. Now you can actually go and strike with the end of it, and it would help you
Absolutely.
out to the degree, right? So and I kept getting this call, like we were going through, and I'm checking the units, and sometimes they rent it out to tourists, but we get a sheet that tells us which ones are vacant, which ones are not. So I'm walking
Hmm.
on the back outside of it, and I see a light flickering on it inside, like it came on. And I know that that unit didn't have anybody supposed to be in there. So I go around, I go up there, and I go in the house, and the power's not on. Like I'm clicking the switches, because some owners will cut, if they don't have anybody there, they'll cut the power to their unit so that they don't have to pay the electric bill if it's empty for a long time.
Yes.
So I go up there and I'm flicking the light, and I know that I saw it from the backside. So how in the hell was the light on? And I'm thinking, well, someone maybe broke in and that was just their light, right?
Yeah.
And so I go in there and I'm trying to be a little bit more quiet, trying to sneak up on them in case they're hiding in the rooms. So I'm going in there, and I usually don't turn my light on because I can see really good in the dark. So I'm going from room to room, and I'm kind of looking over there, and I come in around one of the rooms, and off to the corner, I see a shadow, and it coming right at me, right?
Oh man.
So as it's coming right, because I'm coming this way, and it's coming towards me. And all I see is the shadow coming towards me. So as it goes, I'm thinking that this thing's coming as fast as I'm moving. So I
Mm.
struck out ahead of time instead of waiting to be attacked. I just went wham, and I heard glass shatter.
Oh
And
no.
then I turned on my flashlight, and it was a mirror that they had put, because none of the units had a mirror in the
Oh.
hallway. And it was at the
Oh
end of the
man.
hallway. So I saw me coming, and when I smacked it, it shattered it. And then I
Oh
had to
no.
explain why I destroyed their house.
That's funny. That reminds me of something that my grandfather did years ago. They thought their house was haunted, and he was going to set up and catch the ghost. And he fell asleep in front of the dresser, which had a mirror on it. He woke up and looked up and saw his reflection and he punched the mirror and broke it. The house would shake and move, and they thought it was haunted, but come to find out it was a train passing by, and it just shook the house. But yeah, he busted a real good mirror and a couple of knuckles.
Absolutely. And then, we're getting to the last 10 minutes, so I want to do a little bit of a recap here really quick. So one, I'd like to go ahead and walk us out to a little bit. We're still going to be out 10 minutes, but I want you to go over who you are one more time because there's some that joined in afterwards. And we got
Sure.
some new guests on here that I haven't seen before. And where they can find your books and what social medias are you on?
Sure. My name is J. Michael Vagott. I write paranormal, vampire romance, action, and humor. And you can find it on Amazon, of course. I have a website, it's still up, but I'm going to take it down because I'm going to completely redo it. But I'm on Facebook, Instagram, X. I'm mostly on TikTok and Facebook, but I'm really starting to push on Instagram as well. But those are the main places. And if you did want to go to the website before I take it down, it's jmichaelvagottauthor.com.
Got it. And then, so on one last, couple quick questions on us as well. So you have your books, and then we have a couple of sorry, having a little bit of offness here, really quick here. I was going to say we have some voice actors. Molly Rocks, I've met her in person, fantastic. I'm a big fan of Matt Magnum, Dory Roars. Would you ever, because with the whole generation being on audiobooks and stuff like that, do you, because I ain't for sure if you do have them on audiobooks already, but if you do audiobooks, are you looking into that? And are you going to use like maybe a really good voice actor, or which way are you thinking about going?
Yeah, I want to do a real person. I tried an AI thing. I don't want to do AI. I'd rather use real people. And but right now, I spent so much money because of my mom being sick. Every time I had to go I was flying back and forth and missing work, and so I just gotta get my funds back up where I can afford to pay someone to get those up. But yeah, and Matt actually did a reading on another podcast for my baby, and I've already talked with him, and so yeah, I do want real voices.
Yeah, he's good. He did him and three other authors. Dory Roars, another guy that was really good. He's got a really good vampire voice, and they did. I gotta think of his name, but he's amazing, absolutely amazing. They took turns on Cold Read Lies with Clint Baker was on there, and they read Dredrick Town, the first part of it, and I got
Oh yeah,
chills when they read
yeah.
it. It's so crazy. But like you, I got the same problem. Uh, it's kind of like whenever you're an author, you're trying to get the book sales, but then you got to draw a line on certain things. Like I was doing book boxes, and then what some people don't know is book boxes. By the time you add in like shipping, handling, and stuff, it could cost
Hmm.
you like over $100, and
Yes,
then you're making like $5 off the book. You know what I mean? It's hard. So
exactly.
it's true. And so the same thing as me. I plan on using like Dory Roars is probably I'm gonna have her do like two books. I'm gonna have Molly Rocks do one, and then Matt. I'm probably gonna have him do like the book I did Last Straw. So that is
Mhm.
encouraging on that. Um, Now on the show last year, out of the blue, when I started this, I decided to do a writing contest, and there was 12 authors that took the challenge. Three got chosen. It was Emma Carolina, which fantastic, she won. Clint Baker did an amazing
Hmm.
job, and then Kristen
Hmm.
Moran, who I've become a big fan of lately. She's an amazing person as well. They did the contest. If I was to run one this year coming up, is that something that you would be interested in?
Oh, always. Absolutely. We used to do some things. We used to have a writers group, and for exercises, we'd all start a story, and then we would all take each person's story and finish it. So everyone had several different versions of the story they started with. And then we could all take off with them and come up with completely different books. But
That's
it's
cool.
I love getting ideas and prompts and going with it.
Yeah, that's I do see. I think that's one thing that I saw a couple other authors were doing, and I think that's a good way to boost your TikTok or your Instagram. A lot of the authors were putting down, I did it once and I got like a lot of responses. It's like, here's the scenario, write the next two sentences. And
Right.
a lot of
Yes.
people jumped on it. That was really good. I did do a book for Stephanie James Publishing. She does one where you have the alternate endings. Shay's
Hmm.
doing one off of my book. I wrote a book off of Daniel Maya, and then Shay's writing her book off of mine. That would be kind of cool. I'd like to see you on that.
Oh yeah.
Um, so yeah, I might do that. So I probably will be doing another one up there. Also, since you're on my show, I'm doing Veronique's book giveaway for the month of January. So this month I'm doing
This.
Veronique's book, The Skulls, for the
Hmm.
ones that tune in the most on my show. So every time I go back at the end of the month and I look who stayed with me the most out of every episode, I do a
Yes.
drawing and then I give them a book. So for the month of
Yeah.
February, I'm going to be giving away one of your books for coming on my show to a lucky
Okay.
winner. And I would honestly love to have you on again next month because I
Anytime.
know you got tons of stories, and we just touched the tip.
Anytime. Anytime. Yeah. This is totally completely different from what we're talking about. We were talking about singing earlier. I got into another thing by accident, and I can never get away from. I'll be doing a 1 hour Elvis concert uh, for a nursing home on the 23rd of January. So,
Oh my
uh,
God, man, that's
yeah,
awesome!
yeah, I got conned into doing it for a birthday party. I've been doing Elvis uh, impersonations for 20 years now, and I don't. That's not my goal in life,
I
but I, I'm stuck in it.
I'm a huge fan of Elvis. So like I
Oh, I
got
love
every
him. Yeah.
single CD. I got everything from him. Amazing, amazing, talented. There was like Tickle Me is my favorite movie he did.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
With Jocelyn, amazing one that had good humor. But we actually went to go see Darren Lee in Hawaii, which he was from
Yeah.
Canada. He was in Canada. He won number one Elvis impersonator, and then he moved to Maui and he did his own show. And I swear to
Yes.
God, it's like him in the theater.
Oh
Now I
yeah.
used to sing to Kat when Kat was in my wife's belly. I would
Yeah.
sing every night Wiseman things. I would
Can't
sing
help
it.
falling in love. Yeah.
Can't help falling in love, and I would sing it on when we used to go to the bars. People had heard about this, and I would do it in the karaoke's. And I tell you what,
Yeah.
I got free drinks for the rest of the night. I
Fantastic.
don't know, like the hit because my voice is already bad. Let me drink
Oh,
something real
come
fast.
on. Yeah, go ahead.
Cat's waving me no, so I don't know if I will. I don't know if I can do it. I'm having a little bit of trouble, but I used to do it, so this is gonna suck.
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna try. This isn't the real best part, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Okay, I'm blushing.
You're good. You're good.
I forgot the words though too, so it's like a
Wise men
help me
say
out.
only fools rush in.
Okay,
Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in
falling in
love.
love with you as
Thank
a
you, God.
river flows gently to the sea, darling. So it goes. I'll have to stop
There
there.
you
My head.
go.
Yeah, my head's down on it. I'll do it next time. I'll try to remember the words. I'm just in a lot of pain.
I'm going to
Yeah,
send you a jumpsuit, bud. We'll get
yeah.
started.
You first. Yeah, I tell you what, we'll
Oh,
do that. I tell you what, on Elvis's birthday, me and you come
okay.
on the show in Elvis's jumpsuit, and we'll sing a duet. That's
All
a
right.
plan.
You got
I
it.
think that'd be awesome.
Okay. It's a date.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and walk us out, and then we're good for tonight. I gotta go lay down. My name is Mike Manicki. I'm an author of thriller books. You can get my books on Amazon. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, sometimes on Facebook. And as always, thank everybody for joining. You guys did a lot of likes tonight. Thank you for the gifts. Thank my guest, J. Michael Vagott, on here. I love that he was on here. I was looking so forward to this episode. I'm a huge fan of just watching you on TikTok, man. It is an absolute pleasure to be the one that got to interview on the show, man. It really means a lot to me.
Oh, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure for me. I have had so much fun, and I will come back anytime you want.
Sounds like a plan, man. You got plenty of stories. And I'm sorry about coffee over there. Can't
Hey,
leave it
here
on the thing. She's
I live on cough drops, man. She's fine.
All right. Well, thank you guys all. You have a beautiful rest of your night. And then stay tuned next week. And then J. Michael will be back on the show. I'll probably have him on as a regular. Maybe even have him talk him into co-hosting. I think that would be awesome. All right. You guys have a good night. All right. Bye now.